Hello, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to the News International edition on this 10th day of March 2023. We're coming to you live from our Vision Group headquarters here in Kampala, Uganda. I am Emma Akwero. Now, top of our stories is coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the government in 2021 declared a state of siege in North Kivu and the neighboring Ituri province in an attempt to stem a rampant violence in the country's vast mineral-rich east. But the country lost 36 people during an overnight attack on a village in the eastern part of the country. A local official and the head of a civil society group said on Thursday that the assailants were believed to be members of the Allied Democratic Forces, a Ugandan armed group based in the eastern DRC that has pledged allegiance to the ISIS and wages frequent deadly raids on many villages there.
Officials say the attack targeted the village of Mukondi, 30 kilometers south of the city of Beni in North Kivu province, an area plagued with rebel activity and which has been under military administration since 2021 in an attempt to restore order. Provincial Governor Kali Nzanzu Kasvita said on Twitter at least 36 people had been killed in the attack, which began on Wednesday evening. The head of a local civil society group, Mumbere Limbadu Asen, gave a provincial death toll of 44, including women, children and the elderly, and said several villagers were still missing. The modus operandi suggests it was the ADF because no bullets were fired, he told Reuters news agency via telephone, adding some victims died trapped in their homes after attackers set them ablaze. The ADF often wages attacks using machetes and hatchets. A local army spokesperson, Anthony Mwarushai, confirmed there had been an attack but did not give a death toll. Kakuke Kilalo Emmanuel, a resident of the nearby village of Kalunguta, said he went to Mukondi on Wednesday but turned back after he saw people in a state of panic as the attack was unfolding. Many Kalunguta residents have fled out of fear for their safety, he added. The ADF was formed in 1995 by a coalition of rebel forces, including the Uganda Muslim Liberation Army and the National Army for the Liberation of Uganda, to fight against the Yoweri Museveni administration. It is among the most violent groups in the DRC and has been accused of a string of bomb attacks and civilian massacres. According to the Catholic Church in the country, the ADF has killed about 6,000 civilians since 2013. US-based monitor, the Kyiv security tracker, blames the group for more than 1,200 deaths in the Beni area alone since 2017.
And from Israel, Israeli forces and medics gathered at the site of an attack in Tel Aviv, in which one person was shot dead and 2 other people wounded in what police say could be a terrorist attack. The gunman was killed by the police, according to Israeli authorities. 3 people were wounded by gunmen in Tel Aviv on Thursday, an Israeli police spokesperson confirmed, revising an earlier statement that said one of the victims had died. We have details of this.
Police said the Palestinian attacker opened fire at people outside the cafe on the corner of Dinzegov Street and Ben Gurion Street, an area typically bustling on Thursday night. He then fled the scene while shooting at other people in the area before being shot dead in a shootout with police officers a short time later. I certainly had gunshots and saw people running away. I immediately loaded my weapon and ran to the direction of the scene, saw the 2 badly wounded ones laying on the crosswalk. I continued running while people directed me and told me the attacker went left into one of the buildings. One victim was listed in critical but stable condition after undergoing surgery and was still fighting for his life, said doctors at Ikilov Medical Center, where the injured were taken. The other 2 were listed in serious and moderate condition, the Megan David Adam Ambulance Service said. The hospital said the critically wounded victim was stabilized and was to undergo surgery, along with the other man who was seriously hurt. Another 2 victims were brought to the hospital to be treated for anxiety. I reached the place. There were 2 policemen wearing civilian clothes that were joined 2 minutes later by a police unit. The terrorists kept shooting at us from the alley. After 4 or 5 minutes, the attacker suddenly ran outside to the street, and as he got out, I fired 3 bullets at him. The policeman also shot 3 bullets at him and when he fell down, he got another bullet and he couldn't rise back up. The shooter was later identified as 23-year-old Mutaz Salah al-Kawaja, a Palestinian from the West Bank town of Nilin, who had been twice jailed in Israel. He was shot dead by 4 armed people, including 2 police officers who were at the scene, one of whom was off-duty, law enforcement officials said. The other 2 included a civilian and a reserve IDF officer.
And from Hamburg, images from the site where several people have been killed in a shooting in a Jehovah's Witness church in Hamburg, with a gunman believed to be among the dead found in the building, according to the police. 8 people were fatally injured, apparently including the suspected perpetrator, Hamburg police confirmed, adding that several people were hurt, some even seriously. German media put the number of wounded people up to 8.
A shooting at a Jehovah's Witness center in the German city of Hamburg has left 8 people dead, including the suspected gunman, police said Friday, as the motive for the attack remained unclear. Several more people were wounded in the attack late Thursday at the Kingdom Hall building in the port city of Hamburg, where Jehovah's Witness members were attending a religious service. The police has been alerted at around 9:15 p.m., alerted by telephone. The police has received indications that a shooting took place or shots have been fired in this building here. Newsweekly Der Spiegel reported that the suspected attacker was a former member of the Jehovah's Witnesses community who was not a known extremist, adding that he had been armed with a handgun. They went into the building and very quickly found people who, according to initial findings, had been injured by gunfire. At the moment, I cannot give any further information about the number of victims. The police went into the building, had a shot, went through the building and found 1 person dead. Whether it is the perpetrator, that is still unclear at the moment. At the moment, we have no indication that a perpetrator is on the run.
Wir haben im Moment keine Hinweise darauf, dass ein Täter flüchtig ist.
Best-selling newspaper Bild named the suspect as 35-year-old Philip F. and said he killed himself after police stormed the building. Chancellor Olaf Scholz condemned the brutal act of violence and said his thoughts were with the victims and their loved ones. The Jehovah's Witnesses in Germany Association said it was deeply saddened by the horrific attack on its members.
Darüber hinaus, was für eine Veranstaltung das gewesen ist.
It is a church congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. What kind of event was taking place, I do not know at the moment. Whether it was a church service or other event, little is known about the event.
Sonstige Veranstaltung ist mir nicht bekannt.
Hamburg police are due to give an update at a press conference around midday and urge people not to speculate about the motive behind the shooting. Police have asked witnesses to come forward and upload any pictures or videos they may have to a special website. Another resident said police arrived on the scene within 4 or 5 minutes. Germany has about 175,000 Jehovah's Witnesses, including 3,800 in Hamburg. The U.S. Christian movement, set up in the late 19th century and which preaches nonviolence, is known for door-to-door evangelism. The first officers to enter the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall building found several lifeless bodies and seriously wounded people, police said. Germany has also been hit by a string of far-right assaults, sparking accusations that the government was not doing enough to stamp out neo-Nazi violence.
The News International edition will now take a short break, but please stay with us.
Weddings will never go out of style, but trends definitely will. Are you a bride-to-be looking for that perfect gown? A groom planning the wackiest after party? Oh, a wedding vendor seeking to showcase your services? Or just someone who loves all things to do with weddings? The Bride and Groom Show is finally here with expert advice on wedding planning, fashion, the latest trends, destinations and so much more. Watch your favorite bridal magazine come to life every Sunday on Urban TV from 3 to 4 p.m. and stay on top of your bridal game as guided by the best in the industry. Make it a date and let's walk the love journey together as we celebrate beautiful memories. Bride and groom, we care as much about your wedding as you do. Urban Life. Fun.
It's a nice wash. You wear the same. Remember that day you have to look beautiful.
I wanna tell you my mind, oh. I don't understand, oh. Cause I see you.
Our family has already become a subject of controversy.
Take her, bring her to the holding area, and call the mental hospital together.
That's Daphne.
That woman again.
Come back to your 20 celebrity edition.
Keep on dance for me, na na na. Keep on wine for me, na na na.
Ziaga, Urban TV.
Entertaining you all day with our Urbantainment shows. Tune in to Urban TV on DSTV channel 288 and GoTV channel 375.
Whatever it is, it's on the hard disk, but perhaps all that footage has been corrupted. Please retrieve this footage any way you can. Especially, I want the footage from the kitchen under any circumstances, alright?
But hopefully by tonight you may get some positive news for sure.
You didn't fall. You were made to fall. This contains CCTV footage of the entire house. I've called forensics experts to retrieve it. This footage will clarify that whether the fire started because of your mistake or because of someone's intentional foul play. Once the truth is revealed, then even Noor will take back her promise.
Can that happen, Azan?
Of course it can happen.
Urban.
Thank you for staying with us. In case you're just joining us, this is the News International edition, and we're coming to you live from our Vision Group headquarters here in Kampala, Uganda. I'm Emma Akwero. Now from China, Xi Jinping was handed a third term as Chinese president on Friday. His appointment by China's parliament comes after Xi locked in another 5 years as head of the Chinese Communist Party in October 2022. All 2,952 votes were cast in favor of Xi. We have details.
Today, delegates handed Xi Jinping a third term as president of China and reappointed him head of the country's Central Military Commission in a unanimous vote. Beijing's Great Hall of the People, a cavernous state building on the edge of Tiananmen Square, was adorned with crimson carpets and banners for the landmark vote, with a military band providing background music. Monitor on the edge of the stage proclaimed the final tally. All 2,952 votes had been cast in favor of giving Xi another term in office. The announcement was followed by delegates' fervent declarations of allegiance to the Chinese constitution in a demonstration of loyalty and unanimity. Xi held up his right fist and placed his left hand on a red leather-bound copy of China's constitution. In an oath beamed live on state television, he vowed to build a prosperous, strong, democratic, civilized, harmonious, and great modern socialist country. China's close ally, Russia, quickly offered Xi its sincere congratulations on his re-election. His coronation sets him up to become Communist China's longest-serving president and means Xi could rule well into his 70s if no challenger emerges. China's slowing economy will likely dominate Xi's next 5 years. The world's second largest economy expanded just 3% last year, widely missing its target of around 5.5% in the face of strict COVID curbs and simmering property crisis. Beijing has set a growth target of around 5% for 2023.
And from Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky, in his nightly address to the nation, said that no matter how treacherous Russia's actions are, their stated people will not be in chains after a series of deadly Russian missile strikes triggered a wave of power cuts, including at Europe's biggest nuclear power plant. 9 people were killed across Ukraine on Thursday as Russia unleashed a barrage of high-precision missile and other attacks that triggered a wave of power cuts, including at Europe's biggest nuclear power plant.
The blackout at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant prompted the UN Nuclear Agency's chief to issue a dire warning that next time luck will run out, while President Volodymyr Zelensky called on the West to impose sanctions on Russia's atomic industry. Russia said the strikes involving rare hypersonic missiles were retaliation for a border incursion earlier this month. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says repairs are underway and he extends his condolences. Russian missiles have claimed the lives of 6 Ukrainians today. My condolences to the families. Restoration work at power facilities has been ongoing all day. The Kharkiv and the Zhytomyr regions have the most difficult situations. Odessa, the Dnipropetrovsk region, Kyiv and Zaporizhzhia are also facing the difficulties. Moscow also cast doubt over the extension of a vital UN-brokered grain deal which helped ease a global food crisis caused by the invasion, saying it would discuss its renewal with the UN on Monday. 81 missiles were launched, Zelensky said, killing 5 people in the western Lviv province and 1 person in the eastern city of Dnipro. We have already shown what Ukraine is capable of, and no matter how treacherous Russia's actions are, our state and people will not be in chains. Neither missiles nor Russian atrocities will help them. At least 3 other people were killed in a separate shelling attack on a bus stop in the southern city of Kherson, according to Ukrainian officials. Washington called the missile strikes brutal and unjustified.
Now from North Korea, photos released by North Korea's official Korean Central News Agency on March 10th show leader Kim Jong-un and his daughter Kim Jong-un watching an artillery at undisclosed location. North Korea has framed its missile tests and military drills as justified countermeasures following U.S.-South Korea drills. Last week, it called on the United Nations to urge a halt to these exercises and reiterated that its nuclear weapons ensured the balance of power in the region. North Korea fired a short-range ballistic missile on Thursday, Seoul's military said in Pyongyang's latest show of force, just days before South Korea and the United States kick off major joint military exercises. Pyongyang's KCNA news outlet said hours later that leader Kim Jong-un was on the ground to witness a powerful volley by an artillery unit ready to respond to actual war. The report did not specify what weaponry Kim observed in the fire assault drilled simulating the destruction of an enemy airport. Relations between the two Koreas are at one of their worst points in decades. Last year, Kim's regime declared North Korea an irreversible nuclear power and vowed to exponentially increase weapons production, including tactical nuclear weapons, as the U.S. looks on to move more assets to the region to defend ally Seoul. North Korea has long claimed its nuclear weapons and missile programs for self-defense and has blistered over U.S.-South Korea military exercises, describing them as rehearsals for an invasion. After talks between Kim and the then U.S. President Donald Trump collapsed in 2019, diplomacy has stalled and the North has doubled down on military development. South Korea's hawkish President Yoon Suk-yeol has moved to boost diplomatic ties and security cooperation with Tokyo and Washington in response to growing threats from Pyongyang. U.S. President Joe Biden will host Yoon for a state visit on April 26 and the South Korean leader will visit Tokyo next week, his office said. This month, the US and South Korean militaries will hold their largest joint drills in 5 years. And that's all the international news we had for you. Thank you for watching, and do have yourselves a fantastic weekend.